Hi, I'm Artemis and welcome to my channel. I want to make a video where I showcase some of my previous projects, but to do that I wanted to have a display table, but after seeing the prices they went for online I figured why don't I just make one, and that could also be a video. I started by rummaging through this box of parts on the lookout for some ball bearings. After measuring them I laser cut the right dimensions so the tabletop would be press fitted onto the ball bearing. I wanted to make the top plate interchangeable. This way I could have one small top for close-up shots of, for instance, miniature figures, and then a bigger one for bigger sized projects. While I was cutting this, I took a second glance in the parts box and I saw this axle which already had a ball bearing on the end. And I figured that I could just cut it and use that instead, as this would give me a base which I could just reinforce a little for stability instead of making or finding something that fit the original ball bearing. After some time sawing with a way too blunt saw blade, I finally got through. And this is how it looked. I also had to resize a little for the new ball bearing, but this is the principle of how the table will work. When I had my plates that could be press fitted onto the ball bearing, I needed to glue a top plate to them. This was to prevent the ball bearing from going all the way through, as well as having a smooth finish for the display surface. Now I just had to reinforce the base a little for stability. So I cut 3 rings from 6mm MDFs and I sanded them a little so that they would be easier to press fit before I glued them all together with wood glue. Was enough when things get rough. We made it. We made it. Promise that no matter what we've got, no matter, I'd leave my heart in the palm of your hand. And no matter how tragic it is, I'd always do it again. It's crazy, we made it. With the big plate, I went with plywood instead of MDF for the top place, as I was using some leftover materials from another project. However, it would have been best to go for the MDF, as the plywood had more texture even after a coat of paint. I might change that in the future, but for this project I figured I would just keep it, just to show that even though it doesn't turn out perfectly, it's still functional. As I cut the top plate for the larger tabletop, I had an idea. I recently watched the series 3 Body Problem on Netflix, and I really liked it, so while I waited for the glue on the other parts to dry, I filled the time by completing the logo for the Shanti from the show. I did this by filling the cutout with 2 smaller circles within each other, before I glued that to a back plate as well. I'll feature the result in a YouTube short, so stay tuned. After my base reinforcement and the tabletops had dried, I assembled it quickly. Looking for someone to forget, 'cause I gave you my whole life. can see the bigger plate was a bit wobbly as the hole was just slightly too big, but I just fixed that with some tape so it had a more snug fit around the ball bearing. Now it's time for some paint. I went with black spray paint with a matte finish, as a neutral color is best to display a group project. And after the paint was dried, this is the result. Here's the whole table from a side view, and the ball bearing works well. It spins for a really long time if I wanted to. The top plates are easily interchangeable, and although the biggest one bubbles slightly, it still serves its purpose nicely. Here are some examples of the table up close. I really like that you can spin the table in both directions, and that it's easy to get the speed right. Here's some of my work in progress. And an old project, as well as the mini chest that we made in the last video. Thanks for watching! I hope to see you back in the next video.